From protecting civilians from criminals to becoming the criminal, some cops have been caught cheating their own jobs. The public's confidence in law enforcement is damaged by these dirty cops, which makes it more difficult for good police officers to carry out their duties efficiently. So, what are the worst crimes cops have committed? Get ready to be shocked after finding out what these dirty cops have done. First, let's discuss the story of Raphael Antonio Perez. Raphael was given a job of protecting the public by lawfully dismantling gangs. Instead, he and numerous other officers from the Rampart Division of the Los Angeles Police Department conned gang members out of drugs and cash, while also stealing and manipulating police evidence. When Perez joined the LAPD's Community Resources Against Street Hoodlums or Crash Anti-Gang Task Force, in 1995, he quickly developed a reputation as a tough cop who had a good understanding of the situations in the areas west of downtown Los Angeles that were within Rampart's jurisdiction. But by August 1998, he had been imprisoned for stealing cocaine worth $800,000 from an evidence room. And by the year 2000, he had entered into a plea agreement and accused 70 of his colleagues, crash officers, of misbehavior, ranging from ingesting alcohol while on the job to murder. The city was compelled to overturn 100 wrongful convictions and make $125 million in settlement payments as a result. So, how did Raphael Perez and his top gang fighting squad end up being held accountable for the largest police scandal in Los Angeles history? In response to a rise in the drug trade and associated gang violence, the LAPD established a specialist anti-gang task force called CRASH in 1979. The Rampart CRASH unit would represent the ideology of specialized police units that function almost independently. However, CRASH represented one front in a brutal conflict for police like Raphael Perez, who joined the task team in 1995. His reputation as a street-smart, tough cop eventually led to his transfer to Rampart Division's undercover drug team. Perez was given the duty of taking down the gangs, and both his demeanor and his ability to speak Spanish well complemented this role. Like many other young police officers, Perez experienced an adrenaline high when purchasing drugs from street vendors and reveled in his position of control. Perez thought he had discovered his niche and disregarded advice from a colleague that he loved working with drugs too much. He got involved in a lot of corrupt acts in the late 1990s, such as stealing cocaine from evidence lockers and profitably selling it. Additionally, he drugged suspects and lied in court to get them convicted. After Perez was caught stealing cocaine from the LAPD's evidence room in 1998, his activities were discovered. After being detained and accused of stealing drugs, he started working with the authorities right away in exchange for a lighter sentence. Due to Perez's assistance, a much wider LAPD police corruption scandal was uncovered. He disclosed that other crash unit officers had also engaged in criminal activity, such as fabricating evidence, robbing suspects of cash and drugs, and planting evidence. Intense pressure was placed on the LAPD as more police personnel were linked to the scam as the inquiry went on. The controversy prompted considerable adjustments to the department's rules and procedures, including the creation of new oversight structures to guarantee increased accountability and openness. It was one of the biggest police corruption scandals in American history and was dubbed the Rampart Scandal. Perez received a 5-year prison term for his involvement in the corruption case. He was nevertheless only imprisoned for 2 years before being freed and put in the witness protection program out of fear for his safety. Do you think Perez should have been let go after just 2 years? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Next, let's check out the criminal duo who were dubbed the Mafia Cops. Agents from the DEA and FBI conducted a raid on an Italian eatery off the Las Vegas Strip in 2005. On the basis of drug deal evidence acquired by a wired-up witness, they detained 2 middle-aged men. Both suspects were calmly taken into custody, one of whom had a pistol concealed in his waistband. Yet, the later unsealed indictment against the 2 men would undermine public trust in New York and bring shame on the country's largest police force. Detectives Louis Eppolito and Stephen Caracappa of the NYPD's Organized Crime Homicide Unit were, in fact, hitmen for the mafia. In 1994, the first informant who could characterize two corrupt NYPD detectives working for the mafia came forward. Prisoned Lucchese underboss Anthony Gaspipe Casso claimed responsibility for hiring their services. After being apprehended in 1993 after being on the run, Casso made an effort to negotiate a plea agreement by naming people and claimed that Caracappa and Ippolito were his crystal ball for handling informants, rivals, and potential arrests. One witness, Kaplan, testified to the most horrific instances of the mob cops crossing the line, setting up Ippolito and Caracappa to personally murder or give over for the Lucchese family's murder targets through phony arrests and traffic stop. The two detectives received a monthly salary of $4,000 for giving Casso information about law enforcement. They were paid extra for killing jobs, including $70,000 for a hit on Gambino crime family leader Eddie Lino, who was thought to have been responsible for a botched assassination attempt on Casso. In April 2006, a Brooklyn federal court jury determined that the duo was accountable for 8 homicides, kidnappings, and other crimes. Ippolito was found guilty on 1 count of ERIC, conspiracy money laundering, drug distribution, and drug conspiracy. Caracappa was found guilty on 1 count of RICO conspiracy. Caracappa, along with Luis Ippolito, were sentenced to life in prison in 2009 for the 8 executions they committed between 1986 and 1991. Caracappa got an additional 80-year prison sentence and was issued $4.25 million in fine. The next case will shock you more. It's about the most crooked cop in NYPD history. Officer Michael Dowd testified with striking candor before a panel looking into corruption in the New York Police Department in late September 1993. In his testimony to the Mullen Commission, Mr. Dowd described his decade-long transformation from an honorable rookie in the violent 75th Precinct in East New York, Brooklyn, to what one federal agent termed a once-in-a-generation corrupt cop. When crack cocaine first hit the streets in 1982, Michael Dowd joined the New York Police Department. He was in charge of East New York's 75th Precinct, which had the second highest murder rate in the city, with more than 100 homicides annually. But Mike Dowd soon realized how lucrative the drug trade was in comparison to his $600 weekly paycheck. He first only took money from crime scenes. Yet, when his behavior was left unchecked, he started robbing drug dealers and doing his own drug peddling. By 1986, he had begun working for cocaine trafficker Adam Diaz, who earned $1 million weekly. Dowd was paid generously by Diaz to inform him of impending raids and transport his drugs throughout the city. Diaz wanted an insider to alert him to potential threats since he used East New York supermarkets as fronts for his profitable cocaine activities. He paid Dowd $24,000 and $8,000 weekly pay to buy him out. So, whose story do you think was the most notorious? Let us know in the comments and don't forget to like and subscribe.
On July 20th, 2022, an auditor from the Clearlake Community Watch, who will be referred to as Mr. Clearlake, was driving past Deputy C. Vega of the Harris County Sheriff's Office as the deputy was conducting a traffic stop in Seabrook, Texas. Mr. Clearlake rolled down his window and yelled an anti-police sentiment, including profanity at Deputy Vega as he drove by. In response to this incident, Deputy Vega abandoned the ongoing traffic stop, got back onto his vehicle, made a U-turn, and began to follow Mr. Clearlake. Mr. Clearlake, acting responsibly, properly signaled and made a right turn, prompting Deputy Vega to activate his lights in an attempt to pull him over. In compliance with the signal, Mr. Clearlake immediately pulled into a nearby gas station and brought his vehicle to a stop.
Why do you pull me over?
I'll tell you that if you roll it down.
Why can't you tell me now?
Because the reason I pulled you over is you were yelling something from your car.
So what?
Huh?
So what? That's why you pull me over, because I'm yelling?
I don't know if you need help or anything.
Oh, I don't need help.
So,
Thank you.
Okay, let me see your driver's license real quick.
I don't need help.
Deputy Vega asserted that he stopped Mr. Clearlake's vehicle due to Mr. Clearlake's yelling from the window. Nevertheless, Deputy Vega clarified that his primary concern was for Mr. Clearlake's well-being, rather than taking offense at the content of his speech. It's worth noting that the First Amendment prohibits government officials from engaging in retaliatory measures against individuals for their protected expression. In this situation, it is undeniably evident that Mr. Clearlake was involved in protected activity, as protected by the Supreme Court's long-standing recognition of profanity as protected speech under the First Amendment. Deputy Vega himself acknowledged that he initiated the traffic stop because of Mr. Clearlake's yelling from the window. However, it remains uncertain whether a court would conclude that undergoing a traffic stop resulting in a warning without any citation or arrest would be considered an injury that could deter an individual of ordinary resilience from continuing to engage in the same expressive activity. In the 2012 case of Simmons v. City of Mahmoud, it was stated that not all instances of police detention would deter an individual of ordinary resilience from exercising their protected rights.
You can just crack your window if that's what you want to do.
It's already cracked.
I can't see that.
Well,
This thing.
it doesn't matter. Here. I don't wish to answer questions.
You have to let me know if there's a weapon in the car. Did you not take the class?
I did.
Did they tell you have to tell them?
When you demand identification, I have to display this. That's what they told me in the class. That's what the law says.
The officer wants to take the
And
weapon.
actually, if I don't display, there's really not much you can do because there is no penalty attached to that. I have to carry this if I'm carrying this.
Are you carrying?
I don't answer questions.
Okay, so if you have a weapon in the car, then what?
Consequently, there exists the possibility that a court might find Mr. Clearlake unable to pursue a First Amendment retaliation claim, despite Deputy Vega's evident retaliatory intent when initiating the traffic stop. However, the likelihood is much higher that Mr. Clearlake could succeed in a claim asserting Deputy Vega's violation of his Fourth Amendment rights by initiating the traffic stop without reasonable suspicion or probable cause. Mr. Clearlake, who had a holstered firearm on his right hip, presented both his driver's license and his license to carry as requested by Deputy Vega. However, when asked by Deputy Vega about the presence of a handgun in the car, Mr. Clearlake declined to answer. As per Section 46.02 of the Texas Penal Code, it is considered an offense if a person intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly carries a handgun in a motor vehicle in plain view, except if the person is 21 years of age or older or possesses a valid handgun carry license and the handgun is properly holstered.
What is your name? Your name? Sheriff, that's your name? Sheriff?
Right above it, right there. You see it?
I'm not familiar with the English alphabet, sir.
Be on the ticket.
Okay, can I have an incident number, please? Oh, a ticket, okay.
When Deputy Vega asked for identification, Mr. Clearlake adhered to the statute's requirements, and it was not necessary for him to respond to any further inquiries from Deputy Vega concerning the potential presence of a handgun in the vehicle. Policy 302 of the Harris County Sheriff's Department Handbook establishes guidelines for what is considered professional conduct among deputies and other HCSO employees. This policy imposes an obligation on them to provide official identification when required. Upon Deputy Vega's notification that the traffic stop had concluded, he directed Mr. Clearlake to remain inside his vehicle. Although Mr. Clearlake opened the door, he showed no signs of attempting to exit. As a response to this action, Deputy Vega drew his weapon.
Did I exit the vehicle?
I'm
Did
giving you
I
a heads
exit the
up.
vehicle?
Give you a heads up.
Did I exit the vehicle? Hey, can I? You do have a dashcam, right? Very good. You can't just pull me over because I said the police. I hope you realize that, stupid. I'm sorry?
Do you have insurance on the vehicle?
Yeah,
Can you show it to me, please? It doesn't come back.
of course it comes back.
Not on my system, it doesn't. Also, it's not typical behavior.
According to the policy, deputies can ready their weapons when approaching potentially dangerous situations, but displaying or pointing firearms in a threatening manner is only permitted when objectively reasonable. Deputy Vega's actions removing the firearm when Mr. Clearlake opened the vehicle door might be justified due to potential concerns.
Did you read my address on the driver
It
license?
didn't have an apartment number on your driver's
Of course it does.
Let me see. Can you verify?
You've already seen it. I've already complied with that part.
I know. Okay, I'll be right back. Yeah, I say that I've never met anybody quite like you that would yell at an officer doing their job. But
So,
you have a great
let
day.
me
There's no
understand.
warnings, no fines, no penalties.
May I ask you a question?
This question's on there. There's the address.
Yeah,
There's
no, I
the-
have a
there's
question.
an incident
Can you
number
get your
on the thing right
supervisor
there.
here, please?
No,
Is the stop over?
the stop is over. You may leave.
All right.
We don't exit until I get out. Until I leave.
Well, you said the stop is over, right?
There is no indication that Mr. Clearlake had received any materials from the public records request. Additionally, he has expressed his intention to file a complaint and a lawsuit.
For what? Failed to signal with turn indicator within 100 feet. Drew the weapon on me. He drew the gun.
In conclusion, Deputy Vega's actions are heavily criticized, earning him an F grade for retaliating against Mr. Clearlake, who is exercising his First Amendment rights. The initiation of a traffic stop without reasonable suspicion and unnecessary brandishing of his firearm are the specific reasons for this criticism. Now, moving to the next one. On February 8, 2023, a fire broke out in the quadplex apartment of college student Taylor Brown, situated in Normal, Illinois. Following the incident, both fire officials and police officers from the Normal Police Department arrived at the scene. At the request of the officers, Ms. Brown agreed to be taken to Normal Police Station for questioning. However, after waiting for more than 40 minutes without being interviewed, Ms. Brown asked to be taken back home. The subsequent interaction between Ms. Brown and the officers was recorded by an unknown officer's body camera.
Who are you on your phone with? So we're gonna have to seize your phone, so go ahead and hang up.
Seize my phone for what?
Go ahead and hang up.
Why?
Go ahead and hang up.
They want to seize my phone, but I'm not under arrest for it.
You're not under arrest, but your phone's gonna be seized. So
no.
you're gonna hang up the phone.
I seize my phone, but
So-
I'm not in custody.
so listen,
There's
so-
three of them all around me.
so listen.
FaceTime you for a second.
You listen for a second. So the fire's gonna be under investigation,
That's fine.
okay? And we're gonna seize your phone
Why?
because the fire's under investigation.
I need to know what my.
So you can hand me the phone, or I can take the phone.
But I need to know what my phone's being. They're not telling me a reason why my phone.
I just did.
But you said it's under investigation, which I.
So listen to me. The fire.
That's her phone.
So the fire is going to be under investigation, and your phone's going to be seized.
The officers informed Ms. Brown that her phone was being seized due to the ongoing investigation of the fire in her apartment. Typically, in compliance with the Fourth Amendment's protection against unreasonable seizures, the government is required to obtain a warrant based on probable cause before legally seizing an individual's personal property, including their cell phone. In this particular situation, it remains unclear what evidence the officers had, if any, to suggest that Ms. Brown's phone contained pertinent information regarding the fire. However, according to a lawsuit filed by Ms. Brown regarding this incident, the officers attempted to secure a search warrant for her phone after its seizure, but the warrant was not approved by the state's attorney.
Hang up the phone and they're going to take the phone because at this point I'm being threatened.
It's not a threat. I've asked you several times, and you're just going to go back and forth with me.
A reason as to why my phone is being taken.
So the fire is going to be under investigation by the fire department. So stop. Don't interrupt me. So don't interrupt me. The fire is going to be under investigation.
Don't ever tell me not to interrupt you and I've been this calm.
So the phone's going to be seized. So in a second, I'm going to take
it.
it.
I'm asking you. I'm
So if
asking
you-
you a reason.
so
I'm
if-
not being rebuttal. I'm asking you a reason.
So if you would like to talk to the detective, you can. Do you wish to talk to him?
Yeah, but
Do you want to give an interview?
no, I wanted to ask him why my phone's being seized because she said she could take me home, but without my phone, that doesn't make sense.
After law enforcement officers have lawfully obtained a cell phone, the concern of the arrestee potentially deleting incriminating data from the phone is eliminated. However, it is crucial to note that even under these circumstances, the officers are still not permitted to search the contents of the phone without obtaining a warrant, unless a court has explicitly authorized such a search. The officers made an effort to seize Miss Brown's phone, and when she resisted by pulling away, they responded by forcing her to the ground in an attempt to take the phone from her possession. Using physical force against an individual who poses no verbal or physical threat in an attempt to seize property that is lawfully in their possession would constitute a violation of their constitutional rights. However, if the individual is found to be resisting, officers may be allowed to use reasonable force based on specific circumstances. At the time of the officer's attempt to seize Miss Brown's phone, she was not under arrest, so any potential charges would likely fall under the obstruction subsection.
Miss, are you going to talk to the detective?
As a matter of fact, are you recording this?
Are you going to talk to the detective and provide an interview? Yes or no?
Is that with or without the phone?
Without the phone. The phone's being seized. Are you talking to the detective or no?
Is the phone being
I don't know. That's not my question.
I need an answer to that before I
So the question is, are you going to provide an interview?
No.
No? Okay. Go ahead and hand me the phone.
I have to know if my phone is
Nope.
being seized.
Go ahead and hand me the phone. Do not kick. Okay, push your legs out. Stop. Relax. Relax.
Mom, I'm not letting go. I promise.
Relax.
Mom, I'm not letting go. I
Relax.
promise.
We just want your phone. That's it.
We just want your phone.
They're trying to give me with no protection.
Assuming that the officers lacked the reasonable suspicion required to seize Miss Brown's cell phone without a warrant, it's also probable that a court would conclude she could not be convicted of resisting an unauthorized act by a police officer. Once Miss Brown was placed in handcuffs and helped to stand up, the officers informed her that they would be charging her with resisting an aggravated battery of a police officer. The Appellate Court of Illinois utilized a similar statute that allowed the use of force to prevent unlawful entries into one's dwelling, resulting in the defendant's battery conviction being overturned. The court found that the defendant's actions were based on a reasonable belief that her conduct was necessary to terminate the officer's unlawful entry into her dwelling, and her limited use of force was deemed justified. Applying a similar logic in Miss Brown's case, where she may argue that she used force to protect her personal property, it's conceivable that she could potentially be acquitted of any battery charges brought against her. After her arrest, Miss Brown was taken to McLean County Jail and was subsequently released at approximately 1 p.m. the following day. Interestingly, she was not charged with resisting, battery, or any other offense related to the altercation at the police station or the fire incident at her apartment. The officers returned Miss Brown's phone to her around 3:30 p.m., several hours after her release on February 23, 2023. In response to the incident, Miss Brown filed a federal lawsuit against the unidentified normal officers involved, alleging false arrest, excessive force, failure to intervene, and battery. As of now, the lawsuit's still awaiting resolution. In summary, the normal Illinois officers received a failing grade, as it is highly probable that they seized Miss Brown's phone without the necessary probable cause and also used unnecessary force when she refused to allow them to take her phone without a warrant. Additionally, the arrest of Miss Brown resulted in charges that were eventually found to be baseless. Now let's move to the next and last case of today's video. On February 9, 2023, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine conducted a press conference at an elementary school in East Palestine, Ohio, to provide updates regarding the derailment of a train carrying toxic chemicals. During this time, News Nation correspondent Evan Lambert was in the back of the gymnasium, filming a pre-scheduled live update while Governor DeWine was speaking at the front. Two members of the Ohio State Highway Patrol and the Ohio National Guard's Major General John Harris Jr. approached Mr. Lambert and requested him to halt the broadcast, citing his alleged loudness. The ensuing interaction was captured by the body camera of one of the Highway Patrol troopers, although there is no available audio recording. Despite the absence of sound recording during the initial part of the interaction, the footage reveals an argument between Mr. Lambert and Major General Harris. Subsequently, Major General Harris is seen pushing Mr. Lambert. Following the incident, Mr. Lambert alleges that Major General Harris assaulted him, while Major General Harris claims he felt threatened. However, it is essential to acknowledge that this explanation seems to contradict the body camera footage, which shows Major General Harris as the instigator of the altercation and does not display any physically aggressive behavior from Mr. Lambert. Sheriff Brian McLaughlin of the Columbiana County Sheriff's Office instructs Mr. Lambert to depart from the area. In response, Mr. Lambert clarifies that he is attempting to listen to the press briefing and carry out his job, emphasizing that his actions are protected by the First Amendment.
Go. Just walk outside. Come out the doors. Out the doors. Out the doors.
By other media right here. I'm gonna listen.
I don't care. You're gonna walk out the door.
I'm gonna listen.
You're gonna walk
Do
out
not
the door.
touch me.
Come on out, sir. You're gonna walk out the door, or you're going to jail.
Do not touch me.
Sir, can we talk outside, please?
I'm trying to
Can we talk
listen.
outside, please?
And he escalated with me. I am doing my job. This covered by the First Amendment.
The First Amendment of the United States Constitution explicitly prohibits Congress from creating any laws that would restrict the freedom of the press. Courts have interpreted this clause to safeguard not only the press's right to publish news, but also their right to gather and acquire newsworthy information. In this particular case, the court made a definitive differentiation between the circumstances of that case and the current situation.
Oh,
Sir?
Because this is bad. Stop.
I am on the ground. Let me sir.
Stop resisting. Oh my God. Stop. Get this.
Resist.
I will. This is so bad.
On your back. Lay flat, please.
You guys, he's a national correspondent. You cannot do this.
I'm a reporter with News Nation. It's all being recorded right now.
I hope it is.
This is horrible.
Because you can't talk to people about doing their jobs.
Oh my God, I cannot believe this.
This is what it's like to be a black reporter in
Evan, I'm so
2023.
sorry. Evan, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Sia.
Pull over, sir.
The court emphasized that the mayor did not withhold access to information that was commonly available to other media representatives or prevent the reporter from participating in press conferences. In this scenario, Mr. Lambert's reporting did not seem to cause any disruption, as Governor DeWine mentioned that he was unaware of the incident, only hearing about the disagreement that occurred after the troopers and Major General Harris approached Mr. Lambert.
You got me record all that.
I did, sir. You want me to shut off?
No, you can keep recording. Okay. We just need to make sure that no one else comes in here that's not authorized to come.
Rudeness or disrespect.
Hello.
We've been waiting for.
In his statement, Governor DeWine acknowledged that reporters possess the full right to report during press briefings. Mr. Lambert could assert a compelling argument that his First Amendment rights were infringed upon by being excluded from the press conference, considering that he was merely performing his job as a reporter.
It's the worst possible time in the world, okay? But there's nothing that we can do about that. He's committed to doing his live show. He's got people talking to him.
Upon Mr. Lambert's refusal to leave the press conference, East Palestine Detective Daniel Howder and Columbiana County Chief Deputy Jennifer Tucker notify him of his arrest. Subsequently, when he appears to make a slight attempt to move away from the officers, they take action and force him to the ground before handcuffing him.
Comes over and says, I don't want you here. Okay. He still refused to leave. So now he's arrested. I didn't witness any of that. That's his own fault he's arrested. All he had to do was pipe up. I didn't. And he just kept all I'm telling you is from the television standpoint of.
Later in the episode, the matter of whether the officers possess sufficient probable cause to arrest Mr. Lambert will be addressed. If a court were to determine that the arrest was legally justified, there exists the possibility that Mr. Lambert could face a conviction for resisting arrest, even if he were to be acquitted of the trespassing charge. Despite the charges against Mr. Lambert being dropped, no information has been provided regarding any disciplinary measures against the involved officers, including Major General Harris. It remains unclear whether Mr. Lambert or News Nation intends to pursue legal action against any of the parties involved. On the whole, the numerous officers involved receive criticism, as they are likely to have infringed upon Mr. Lambert's First Amendment rights by unjustly excluding him from a public press conference, arresting him for refusing to relinquish those rights, and employing unnecessary force during his arrest and initial disagreement with Major General Harris.